guys, I'm Rita, and in today's episode, I own my baking business. Alongside having a small coffee shop, I take on orders from private customers for any sweet treat for their occasions. For example, if they need a wedding cake or birthday cake, they can order from me. And I'm the best in this town. And to manage all different streams of income, I also have just recently posted my online baking course. So, to manage all these transactions, I have decided to start using Sage accounting software. Let's register on Sage and go through settings section. To register on Sage, type in your browser sage.com. When browser will open the page, it will be defaulted to American Sage. So we can change it by scrolling to the very bottom and clicking on United Kingdom in my case. So to register on Sage, I will go to Products, I will click on Accounting and get 3 months free, and there is free packages available. So first 3 months on each package is for free. So I can add also payroll if needed for first month, which will be for free, and then it will be of course paid for package. I will go for a very basic start package. At payroll, I will say no thanks at the moment. Okay, let's set up account. So fill in details as required. So email, name, your company name, and if have any employees. And then on right hand side is also showing plan details what I have selected. So, okay. I'll say that I'm sole trader at the moment. You can select if you want Sage to send you help of starting on Sage if required, otherwise untick. And this is my plan what I have selected, but I can of course still change to any other plans, standard and plus. Each plan has a different option, so there is more options like multi-currencies for other transactions or multi-users if required to you. So in my case, I will go for a start package, continue to address, continue to payment. So with Sage, we need to provide bank details already. So first 3 months will be for free to test and trial, but we can cancel anytime within these 3 months and no payments will be collected. Okay. So let's provide either direct debit or credit debit card details. Once you fill in all this information, click on Pay Now and get started. Okay, once you click Proceed, you will be moved to 4th stage called Security. So order being complete. Once you are happy with information, continue to create my account. Okay. Fill in details of your password, login. Okay, so what is my business type? I will say that I am sole trader or small business. And tax scheme, please select if you are VAT registered. In my case, I am not registered for VAT, so I have selected not registered. Once you're happy with selections what you have made, in my case, I'm happy with my selections, click all done. Okay. So this is my Sage environment, and there's lots of zeros at the moment and blank reports, but once information will be filled in, it will look better. So first things first, I always go and have a look at settings. So under section or category more, there is business settings. Okay, and business settings got about there is 5 categories. There is business preferences. In this section there is all about my business and all about how I record and do transactions in my company. So if I want, let's start with record and transaction settings. If I want to change something, this is a place where I will come. For example, where would my default income will come? If I have multiple streams, I will leave as other income. Otherwise, if you have one stream, you can create one particular income stream and just post here and so default it. You can drop down and select any categories, what you want to allocate your income, expenses, suppliers, sales, and etc. So okay, let's go back. Document settings, so all templates with your emails and how invoices or remittance advice will look like. This is a place where you will come and set up any document settings. Financial settings, so chart of accounts. Create, view and manage your nominal accounts. So for example, I have my bakery business and I have 3 income streams. So one is from my customer orders, second one is my coffee shop or bakery shop, and third one is my online baking course. So I can amend my chart of accounts here. So for example, you can select from drop down boxes like under type, my sales, which is revenue, turnover or income, and search. Got only 4 category codes where my sales would be recorded. So under products, I can add 2 additional sublines, I would say, and I can call them sales as coffee shop and sales customer orders. So to add new category, click on new category on your right hand side. Category name will be sales. I will call coffee shop. The same will be my display name. Category code. So very first category code was 4000. So I can say that my next code will be 4001. Type, in this case it will be sales. And okay, VAT rate, if will be applicable, it will be 20%. And visibility is automatically already selected. It will be under money in and sales under invoices, credits, customer defaults. So once you're happy, click save. Okay, so sales for coffee shop being added there. So let's add for my customer orders revenue code as well as for my online course. Okay. Okay, so my online baking course goes under service category. So I selected 4011, which falls below sales services. And I have 2, I would say, touchable or physical places like customer orders and coffee shop. You can add and amend chart of accounts for every every category. For example, if you want to add something under direct expenses, which is cost of sales, click search, and you can add more category codes to use once you're recording transactions on Sage. So let's go back to business settings. So we covered now chart of accounts under financial settings, but also if you are part of construction industry scheme, so this is where you can activate your CIS. And if you are a VAT registered business, so under financial settings, you will have an option to record your VAT scheme details and as well as manage start dates and finish dates. So this is a place where to come and amend or add information. Okay, next one is Customize section. Under Customize sections, there is navigation on data grids, which mainly are navigation to make changes to suit your style or working on, etc. So first one is table of data, so I can select to have more transactions to see. For example, I want to see 100 instead of 10 or 50. Choose how many items you want to show on each table, so how many rows or lines you want to see. And next one is to select a time zone. If yours don't default to particular place where you are time zone, you can come and amend this there. So once you add or change information, always save. Okay, and what else we have? Okay, data management. So we can reset or restore data in case if something happens, maybe system crashes or there is some error made, and etc. So this is a place where to come and restore if will be needed. And then of course we can look at opening balances. So for example, if I had a bank already and I have opening balances at 1st of April before I start my operations on Sage, I can enter these opening balances here. So let's enter bank. I will say start date is 1st of April. Okay, click save. And I have cash and bank account, so I will add for bank account my opening balance of 31st March. I will say receipt, so I have positive balance in account. Let's say I have 500. And I have also cash balances opening on 31st, debit, and I have 65.40 in my cash. Okay, save. So those are my opening balances. If you start from 0, so that means that you open your bank account on once you register it, you can start. You do not need to add your opening balances if they start with 0 balances. So all transactions you will be able to do as part of your banking. Okay, so let's go back to my settings. So all those 5 categories in settings I have covered now. So there is another place where you can look on information, and it's under your owner account, and that's where we can manage business account. And this place where will be subscriptions, if it will open. So there will be subscription details, payment method, more business information details. I can also invite accountants there and look at any other add-ons. So if you want to change subscription, upgrade to different license, this is a place where you would come to amend this information or update information. So, okay, so we covered how we can register on Sage and briefly scan through settings. I just rushed to local market to buy some supplies as I run out of flour and milk. So, how I can actually record suppliers on Sage Accounting software? To add a new supplier, we need to go to Contact section.
And on right hand side there is new supplier. So let's click on new supplier. And this is a client's card, supplier's client's card or contact card with fields which we need to fill in. So we need to fill in business details, which includes also their email address and phone number if we have, address, payment details, and any other notes if applicable. So business name, I have local shop, limited. I have no contact name nor email at the moment, and address is okay. Default category, that's where all these costs will be recorded. So let's select cost of sales and payment details. We can set the credit terms, what supplier gives to us to pay for items. Otherwise, if there is no credit terms, just untick. We can add bank details if supplier provided ones, and we can add also notes if there is any terms and conditions what we need to be aware of. So let's click save. Okay, here we have added our first supplier. Let's add another supplier. Okay, so this way how we can add a new supplier. So I have two receipts. Oh, prices have increased. Okay. So how I can actually record invoices and receipts on Sage accounting software? So to be able to add supplier invoices, I actually need to upgrade to one of the more pricey packages. So to do so, let's go to Manage Business Account, Subscription Invoices. Let's click Upgrade. Okay, and let's select Accounting Plus. Okay, confirm upgrade. So now I have upgraded to a Plus package, and I have a separate category available called Purchases. Now I will be able to record supplier invoices, record supplier credit notes, as well as add quick entries for my receipts. So let's add first purchase invoice. To add purchase invoice, we click on New Invoice. And this is the template form what we need to fill in. So this should match with an invoice information. So firstly, I can select supplier, or I can add a completely new supplier from my drop-down list. So let's add a local shop invoice, and invoice date, let's select on 11th. So in 11th, reference of supplier invoice. So for example, it's LS1234, and if there is any other references like purchase orders mentioned in a field, we can add it here. Now we can add product or service. To do so, we need to actually create an item. Click on create item, and here we can select and separate items, either stock, non-stock, or service. In my case, I will say that I have non-stock items, and there are various baking products. Okay, so do I sell this item? I don't sell in this case because the raw materials what I use to bake my cakes or croissants or muffins, so I will not sell this item. Do I buy this item? I will select yes, and I mainly buy them from local shop. Purchase description, if there is anything on purchase forms, we can add here. Cost price, this will change all the time, so I will leave 0. And purchase account, I will select as cost of sales goods. So we can add any additional information if required and click save. Okay, so various baking products, and one at 55 can add more notes. Also can save as a draft, but they will not show up on accounts, so be mindful if you select save as a draft. If you are happy, we can go to last section, and it is where we can attach a copy of this invoice. Then we can save and add a new invoice, and then also cancel. In my case, I will click save, and invoice for local shop have been added. On right hand side, we can still edit, also add a file. We can also dispute it, so add information and not to record that it's available for a payment. We can copy this invoice, add credit note, and also delete. So let's make a copy. So it's already pre-fills information. Let's select date, like 20th, for example, 20th, and reference 35, baking products, and there is 38 pounds, and save. Okay, so when we go back to purchases and invoices, both invoices are recorded here. So let's add one more invoice. And this time it will be for online bakery staff. Date, let's say 7th, OBS 1234. Product, create new item. There are non-stock items, and this case I have baking supplies, and these supplies are like baking paper, cake trays, boxes, and etc. Okay, I'm not selling that items, but I buy these items from online bakery staff. If there is description or price, we can add, and purchase account, it will go under part of materials. Okay, and save. Okay, price, let's say 25, 30, 35. Okay, it's the same. We can attach support file and click save. Now, after reviewing my invoice, I noticed that there is missing some stuff, and I should actually receive a credit note. So I got in touch with supplier and advised that I have not received part of suppliers what I should have. So for example, biscuit boxes were missed from the order, and they sent me a credit note for £10. So thing is that we can go and add a purchase credit note from here. If it's standalone credit note, so we can just add a new credit note, fill in details. So layout is similar to an invoice, to supplier invoice. Only thing is that this credit note will be added with a negative sign, so opposite. Or we can go to particular invoice. So example, if they issued credit note to this online bakery staff invoice, we can click here, add credit note. Okay, and now it selects date. So let's say they send the credit note on 11th, baking supplies, and credit note is for 10, and we can add missing boxes. Okay, click save. And now credit note for £10 being recorded. So when I go back to purchase invoices, the outstanding balance have changed from 35 to 25. It's because that credit note been applied already to the invoice of £35. So that's showing that 35 was owned, 10 is paid or allocated, mainly allocated because that is a credit note, CRN, and outstanding is 25. So it also shows that it's part paid. Okay, so if I have receipts, like I have these two receipts, how I can enter those if they are not part of my supplier invoices, no one issuing invoices. There is quick entries, and we are able to add quick entries, which would be more an expense. So click new quick entry, and we can select either it's invoice or credit note. In my case it's invoice. Let's select date of which date we select, 4th of April. Also, I can select one of the suppliers, or I can add a completely new supplier, like called Shop Limited, and goods, save, reference, baking raw. Okay. I can still change ledger account, which is a category where I want these costs to show up, and I can add more details. Sorry, under reference I can put a receipt number. So in my case, receipt number is 122 TS 2. Okay, so baking raw materials, and I have 26.59. Okay, then I can add another invoice dated, let's say 8. I can select already that I have second one for Shop Limited, and I can add another invoice number, and okay. Okay, and that price is $24.90. Okay, so once we are happy with all these receipt entries, click save. So you can add multiple in a row, so you do not need to enter one by one. You can add multiple receipts at one go and click save. Okay, so this way how we can add receipts. So we covered supplier side now.
So guys, in my coffee shop I have different kind of sweet treats, including muffins, croissants, and pastries, or shortcakes covered in chocolate and not covered in chocolate, as well as some biscuits. So how I can actually add different types of items or products on Sage's accounting software.
So I have different kind of sweet treats or goods in my coffee shop. So how I can actually record those on Sage? There is a separate section called products and services, and we briefly touched it to when I added my invoices for suppliers. So there is already 2 recorded, but I wanna create a new product lines for my croissants and muffins. So how I can do it? Let's add new product stock item. So new item, and in this case it will be my stock item. So short code, I have okay, let's start with muffins. Okay, I sell this item, yes, and I'm selling them for 0.75. Okay, sales account, I have my coffee shop, and do I buy this item? No, I'm actually baking them myself, and I can add an opening balance. For example, I had on various ins and outs, but I will say on first I had 30 muffins available, and cost of this one muffin is 0.40, let's say. Okay, so let's say, okay, one error. What is my error? Purchase account. Okay, good, that's fine. Okay, let's save. Okay, now I have added stock item, my chocolate chips muffins, and let's add another one, and there will be vanilla. I hope I spelled it correctly, vanilla. Okay, and it's stock item, and sales price 0.75. You might have different prices for trade, wholesale and sales price. For my case, I have the same price for all of 3 sales categories. Okay, and products are, I'm selling coffee shop. So now I have 2 non-stock items and I have 2 stock items. Also I have service, like online course. So how I can add that one? Click on new item, and last section is service. So click on service and let's add item code. Okay, rate is 100 and my code is online baking course. Okay, do I buy this item? Not really, it's not applicable because it's my online course what I have created, and click save. So now it's added new service. So this way how we can add new items and products, and then to use these products and services to select when we are recording invoices or when we are actually issuing invoices. So making life easier.
They are ready. My first batch of freshly cooked croissants. So I had an order from a corporate client to actually bake 50 croissants for their morning coffee, and how I can actually add a new customer on Sage accounting software. So let's have a look at the next section on adding new customers on Sage. It smells so good.
So how I can add my business limited customer to Sage? Just a reminder to you, that is a customer for who I baked 50 croissants. So to add new customer, we need to go to contacts, and there is a section called customers. On the right hand side, click on new customer, And customer client card will look like the same as supplier's card. Only thing what will be added is a separate section called defaults, where we can select defaulted like sales price or let's say trade or wholesale. So if this client got different price because this customer is wholesale customer and you have added to particular group different prices, then this customer will have that price defaulted when invoice is issued to them. So let's add details in I have business limited. I will leave blank for contact name, email and phone, address, and default account. These are my customer who are doing customer orders. So I will select sales customer orders. Okay, and payment terms, sorry, I almost missed. So we can give a payment terms. So we can give credit terms. Let's say that this customer can pay within 7 days or maybe within 14 days. Or if you're very generous, maybe 30 days. They've got time to pay this invoice. I'm small business and I'm giving 1 week for this customer to pay to me. Defaults we already shortly discussed, so I will select sales price and I can add any additional notes if there are. Once you're happy, click save. Okay, let's add a couple new customers. Okay, so I have added business limited and Jane as an individual because she will order cake. But then I also have a separate client who ordered stuff for like online course or register for online course. Let's add this customer as well. Okay, so we have added our customers now. I just baked another order and this is a chocolate cake. Let's transport it. Here we go. So I have another order. It's been quite a busy day today, or this morning to be honest. So how I can actually issue an invoice to corporate client as well as to my private client ordering a chocolate cake. So let's have a look on next section called sales. So now we have customers added and I need to invoice Jane and Business Limited for it, and plus issue invoice to Alex for his taking course on my baking online course. So how I can do it? On like header section on top there is category called sales. So there is 4 options. We actually are able to issue quotes and estimates, sales invoices, also credit notes if something happened with goods. For example, if I maybe have undercooked something and then customer requires a refund, or maybe cake is not up to standard what they would expect, so that might happen as well. And then there is also quick entries which I can use, for example, for my cash sales. So let's look at quotes first. before I baked 50 croissants, I actually sent a quote to Business Limited. So how I can add? So you can add a new estimate or new quote. In my case, it's new quote. Okay, and new quote is for Business Limited. And quote was issued on 8th of April. And I can add a customer's reference. So Business Limited have asked to quote a reference called breakfast. Okay. Now we can select product service. So I have added muffins, but now I need to add a croissant. So stock. Well, that might be did I spell it correctly? Okay. Sales price says that it's one sales price per one croissant is £1, but when I sell as part of a trade, say I have price of 125, and then I can select my product place or living place, either it's coffee shop or customer orders. In this case I have customer orders. Okay, I don't buy, I cook myself. Sorry, I meant bake. I bake them myself. And opening balance, I had, let's say I have 100 as of 8. Okay, and cost price, I have 50 cents. Click save. So now it's pre-fills details for what I have entered. Of course, I can still amend description, and I can add plain, chocolate or vanilla and etc. It goes to ledger account 4002 as my customer orders, and quantity, I had a quote request for 50 croissants. Okay, price rate, I can select that it's trade, so most expensive one, and it already calculates the price, so 62.50. I can also add carriage costs or postage, and in my case it's 7.50 for delivery of croissants to this business. Okay, so once I'm happy, I can save an email directly to client. So I will click save. Okay, so when we go back to our quotes and estimates, quote is there. So when customer comes back and they're saying that they are happy with this quote and ask me to proceed, click on this particular quote as I done. We'll repeat again. Let's click on this quote. We can convert it directly to an invoice. So even if client will decide that they don't want to go ahead with this quote, we can mark as a decline, so it will keep a history of quotes to whom we send at what rates and etc. If they are happy, we will create an invoice. So let's click create an invoice. It shows details and we can change reference if it has changed, or any other details. For example, quantity maybe have increased. Yeah. So because I added that my quantity was 100 in stock, it shows as an when hover above that I letter icon, it shows how many I have in stock, what can be used. Okay, I can add notes, any T's and C's, known as terms and conditions, and I also can save as a draft invoice or pro forma invoice. So we can send pro forma invoice in case if we want our customer to pay money now, and then we will, once money is received, we can actually convert it as an invoice and send out. So if you need that one, go to left hand side and select if you want this invoice to be as a draft invoice or pro forma invoice. Pro forma invoice will be easy to convert to invoice afterwards. Okay, so Once we are happy, click Save. Okay, so invoice been created. So when we're going to sales invoices now, invoice have been moved from quotes to sales invoices. So if I go to quotes, there is a quote and its status as invoiced. So when we go to sales invoices, we can see our invoice here. Also, we can set up recurring invoices if needed. So to set up recurring invoice, let's go to next section and click new recurring invoice. So recurring invoice can be issued, for example, if this customer requires every month some kind of services to be provided. For example, if I have Alex and he has subscribed for my online baking course, which has, let's say, 3 months as provided as a service. So we can create a recurring invoice for all 3 months to be distributed to Alex. So customer reference number is online order. Frequency, so I can select if it's daily, weekly or monthly. In my case it's monthly, and I can decide when it's need to recur or need to be issued. So I'm saying that it will be monthly, every 1 month of the first, and starting date is let's say from 25th from today, and ending by, for example, if I select after, it will, let's say, after 3 occurrences, and due date, let's say it's 0 because it needs to be paid immediately. If I will select by, I can select date, for example, by end of June, and it's due the same. I can change the dates. So in my case, I will say after 3 occurrences, and payment need to be paid within 0 days. Okay. So I can select next that I would create a draft invoice, which I can later review and distribute out to my client or customer, or I can create straight away invoice. And third option is to create invoice and email straight away. To email straight away, you will need to make sure that you have added an email address to this particular customer. Okay, so product code, I had online baking course, description is there, and it's already pre-filled details and allocates to correct general ledger account. And we can add notes or we can add terms and conditions if there anything applies. And once we are happy with this one, we can save. Okay, and it shows that it will happen every month. Next invoice will be 1st of May and it will end on 1st of July. So under actions, 3 dots, we can pause this recurring invoice template, we can copy or we can also delete. So that's way how we can do recurring invoice. So how we can record a credit note. For example, there have been some issues to croissants what I baked maybe, or it was communicated that they will come and pick up themselves, so there is no carriage of 750 required. So let's check if carriage was 750. So carriage was, or delivery charge was 750. So I would issue credit note for delivery charges. So how I can do it? So we can go through sales credit notes and issue a new credit note and allocate to particular invoice. Or if he knows that this relates to directly to that invoice which credit note relates to, we can go through that invoice, and on right hand side there is option to add credit note. Okay, so let's select date. Well, let's select 20th, and here we can select quantity 0. So I will select 0, 0. Okay, or let's delete that line. and I will leave 750. So I just want to issue credit note for carriage charges. So once I'm happy with this one, click save. Okay, it has to add one line item. Okay. Okay, so I added croissants as quantity or hours at 0 rate, but then I left delivery charge of 750. So now when I go back to my sales invoices, so invoice to business was issued for 70 and now outstanding is 62.50 because 750 credit note was allocated to this invoice. So I will add a couple more invoices. Like Jane had a birthday cake, so let's add invoice to her. Okay. So how I can record cash sales from my coffee shop? We can do it through quick entries. So there is on right hand side new quick entry. And let's say on 7th of April, I will add customer called coffee shop. Income coffee shop, save. And reference, I will have it's 1, 2, 3, 4 coffee shop, and details. I have let's say 20 muffins. Okay, and total let's say there will be £20. If I have particular client coming and purchasing on the particular date, for example, I have a lady who requires some kind of document or receipt. Let's say I have Lucy. And she purchased a coffee shop. Okay, and she purchased various pastries. And in total she paid £35. So we can add multiple entries here and click save. This will record other income received from sales, let's say in my coffee shop. So that's how we can record quotes, sales invoices, as well as issue credit notes and add quick entries on Sage. It has been another busy weekend in my bakery, and sales have increased as well due to weather changes and tourists coming to our town. So I have cash, what I need to deposit in bank. But then I was wondering how I can actually record my bank and cash transactions on Sage. So let's have a look on next category called banking. So let's look at the banking section now. Under banking, I can see my opening balance of my bank account was 500 and my cash balance was 65.40. That's what I added when I was setting up my company as a part of business settings for opening balances. So now how I can actually add the transactions, bank transactions and cash transactions. So on bank account, there is a drop-down box and we can actually connect to bank, which will enable automatic bank feeds. I can also import statement, which would be an alternative option to choose from if you don't want to connect your bank account, or there is no or. And we can manage bank rules. Bank rules is, for example, if you have certain criteria met, that transaction will be posted on Sage automatically. So for example, every month you got bank fees or bank charges and you want it to be posted automatically. Bank rule can be set for that one. It will be posted on system once upload, or bank transactions will be pulled through as a part of connected bank account. So in my case, I will do import statement. Okay, to import bank transactions through statement, there is some rules or criteria. Either we can choose one of these files, like options how we will upload, sorry. But before we do it, we need to set up your files. So there is a requirement how files with 3 or 4 columns should look like. So first section is for CSV, Excel or XLX files. Then there is how QIF files can be imported and QFX files. So in my case, I will have CSV file with 4 columns. So for 4 columns, date, description, money in and money out, these should be headers. You cannot have different headers, so you will need to rename your template in case if you download from bank on your CSV file, it's not saying money in, but it's saying credit balance or bank or whatever. It needs to be one of these descriptions on a title of your file. So my CSV file had about 7 or 8 columns, so I deleted the ones which were not required and I updated my titles of columns to one of these what they provide. So let's go back to my upload. So I will have 4 column CSV file to upload. Select file, and I have, this is my bank file. Then we need to select how date is actually displayed on my file, and it is displayed starting with day followed with month and year. But if you have one of other options, just select which applies to your bank statement. Okay, comment, I will say up to 25th April. So later when I look at next bank statement to upload, I will know up to which date I have uploaded transactions on. Okay, upload file. Okay, so it's pick up one transaction and asks if this is money in or money out of account, and of course this is money out from my bank account, so I will select that it's money out and click verify. Now system will take your statement information and upload in this way. So I've got a couple of transactions in this month, so once I'm happy, click import transactions. Okay, and I have now 17 transactions to review and confirm on system. So click on transactions. And we will need to go through one by one and either match with transactions or to find a home for particular transactions. So let's start from the top. I have our order supplies online and I want to match with £55 with online bakery staff. So order supplier online is the same as online bakery staff company. So once I'm select that one, so I'm taking the one which I want to select. I click on match. Okay, so that transaction being processed. Next one, I have transaction fee for doing payment. So I would not select for what it's related, bank transaction, and I will say under which code this will fall. So this case, I will say, oh, it looks like more exchange fees. So let's check if we have exchange fees. Foreign. Oh, I haven't got in chart of accounts. So. Okay, I will put the currency charges at the moment, and I can select create. Okay, fees and create. Okay, so that's been posted as well. Local shop, they said that they have found a match. So match is with this invoice for $39.99. If we want to match somewhere else, like to another invoice, maybe there are multiple invoices with the same amount, we can amend, but there was only one entry for $39.99. So once we are happy, click match. Okay, next one, I had 220 coming in from Business Limited, and they found a match, but I can create or I can transfer if needed, but in this case match is found for 6th of April, click match. Okay, next one, there is again transaction fee, but because once I already selected that it's currency charges, system already is smart and pre-selects for you already that category or cost code. So once I'm happy, click create. Okay, next one, I have cash deposit. So this cash deposit is a transfer. So this is a transfer from cash account to my bank account, £100. So select your cash account and click transfer. So there might, if you have multiple accounts, there might be oh my god, I forgot what I wanted to say. So there might be a thing when, if you have multiple bank accounts, you might decide to transfer from one to another one, then you will need to just select between which bank accounts you are transferring money. So once you are happy, click transfer. Okay, order supplies 25, match been found and imported from statements. If happy, click match. You can still review by clicking on that pen. Okay, local shop 55, let's look for a match. Local shop 55, this is a match. Okay, and once we are happy, scroll a little bit down and click match. Okay, so we have Jane birthday cake. We can edit and choose different invoice. For example, if we think that that's what's not relating, but in this case it is Jane B cake 50, yeah, for £50, and click match. So you can select different invoice if you think that there is older invoice which need to be paid first, but first communicate with your customer to make sure that they have actually a copy of that invoice. Maybe they have not received it, so just need to check. Okay, so match been found there, like click match. Business Limited, let's look at the match 150, so it should be Business Limited. Business Limited, here we go, sales invoice for 150, and once we are happy, click match. Okay, so next one is cash deposit again, so transfer from cash account, click transfer. Local shop, there is a match found. So why it's important to match with customer or supplier account invoices is because if you will not match, it will post on that customers or suppliers account, and then your balances might be distorted and you might think that they own you money, but they actually have paid to you, but you haven't allocated to a particular invoice. So click match. Okay, so Alex, I had Alex invoice as well. Select the one which is applies, and then we are just matching. So bank fees, we can search by bank charges. Okay, and let's create. Coffee shop, coffee shop rent. Okay, we will create. In my case, this one is a rent payment. Rent, and we can create. And phone limited. If we don't receive separate phone bills, maybe it's annual subscription, so there is telephone available as well, and click create. So okay, so when we go back to banking, it shows that there is 0 transactions left to reconcile. Current balance is 1,011.51, and cash balance is in minus actually, but it's in minus because we haven't recorded cash sales from my little coffee shop what I have actually received. So I can add new sale receipt, and I can select for particular customer. For example, I had coffee shop, and I can select where it's been paid. I will say that it's been paid in cash, and date received. So I can look, and I had on dates on 7th, so I can select 7th of April, select both, and click save. So that been transferred. Again, sell receipt, and select not business. I have coffee shop in cash. Okay, cash, and I have on 14 and 15. So let's say on 14th, select 14th and click save. Okay, so our cash is turning now from the negative balance into positive. And let's add last receipt, what was the cash sales recorded, and from my coffee shop into cash account, and on 15th of April. Okay, and click save. Okay, so this is the way how we can manage our cash transactions as well as reconcile bank on section called banking.
Oh no, guys, I messed up. I messed my transactions on Sage. Can I correct it? Yes, you can, and I will be able to correct as well. There is a separate category called adjustments. So let's have a look at it.
So I have done a small boo-boo in time when I reconciled my bank transactions. So if you do any postings on a systems which later you want to correct, there are two ways how we can do it. Either we can post a journal, or we can amend transaction or correct transaction directly on system if it's not closed for a particular period. So to do so, we need to go through adjustments, and let's have a look on journals first. To add a new journal, click on right hand side called new journal, and we will start with adding reference. So I will set 04/2022, so that will be April 2022, and I will call cost adjustment. Then I will select date, in my case it will be 25th, and description I can say currency charges corrected. Okay. Every journal entry should have at least 2 rows. So because Sage is using double entry method, so all need to balance between debits and credits. So what I mean, so if you correct, for example, cost line, so you will reduce that cost line, so it will be credit first, but then you will increase other side where that particular transaction amount should go. For example, in my case, I want to correct currency charges. That's where I posted my bank transactions. So I will copy this description here. And so I already increased my currency charge. So in this case, I will need to reduce them. And I want them to go to bank charges. So bank charges is 7,900. I will keep the same details description. And because we reduced, so this would eliminate or balance off to zero currency charges, I need to increase other side where these costs belong to. So in my case, it will be to bank charges. And we can see total is 250 in both cases, and it's balanced. If you have 150 to move to bank charges, you still have £1 to move somewhere else if, for example, 250 were incorrectly posted to currency charges. So you need to make sure that both sides balance correctly, and so you can post the journal. So this is the one way how we can correct a transaction. So I will close this one and we'll move to second one. So leave without saving. So second way is through correct particular transaction if period is not closed yet and you are able to do correction. So correct transaction, click on make correction, and we will look on ledger account, but we can select by searching by amount, by date, contact, maybe transaction type. For example, it was a journal, receipt, purchase invoice, or etc. So just select which one is applying. In my case, I will look by ledger account, and in this case I will look for currency account, so currency charges. And if there is multiple conditions what need to be met, if you have hundreds of transactions and you're trying to find a particular transaction, you can have a multiple conditions that need to be met, like a filters, and in that case it will narrow those transactions what would apply or match particular selected criteria. So let's click search, and here I have both debit transactions, so I have increased costs in my debit side, so I will want to credit now and move to correct place these two transactions. So I want to move transactions of both of these, so I'm selecting both of these and I'm clicking next. So you might decide only correct one, then just select the one which you want to correct, and I want to change to, I think so it was 7,900. Okay, question is why it doesn't give me bank account 7,900. Okay, it doesn't give me. So it's very interesting why it's not giving me bank. Okay, I will move it to okay, in my case I will move it to other direct expenses because this exchange rate was relating to cost of sales. But if bank doesn't appear, I would use a journal to correct this transaction instead of going through correction section. So just in this case I will click other direct expenses, but that's not the right way to do. So while making these changes, currency charge corrected, click review. So this ledger account will be changed to 560 and click update. So let's continue working. So once system will update or do changes to these postings, it will correct it and transactions will show up on those accounts. So it might take a while they will update, so I will just continue working as I have advised. Okay, and it also shows that this correction is in progress currently.
It is end of the working day in my bakery. So before I close my bakery shop, I want to find out how well I have done today, as well as how well I have managed to run my operations in last month. Can I do it at Sage? Yes, of course you can do. Let's have a look at next category called reporting.
Well, I want to find out how much profit I have made in this last period. So how I can do it on Sage accounting software. On reporting section, we have a couple of reports already available to select from. Number one on the top is VAT returns. So if you are VAT registered, it's now mandatory for you to submit your VAT returns through Making Tax Digital connection to HMRC. And Sage, of course, provides it. So number one is VAT returns. In my case, I'm not VAT registered, so I will have blank report to show to you guys. But there is another report which is called balance sheet, profit and loss standard, profit and loss comparative, trial balance, and option to select more. So when I click more, there is multiple reports to select from to your interest and needs. So let's start with profit and loss. So let's have a look how well I have actually done in April. But I can actually change the time period to year, month, financial year, this or previous, and etc. if needed. So let's have a look. I have made sales of almost I will not round it, £1,150. My direct expenses have came to £382, so my gross profit is £765. But I had rent, phone, and some bank charges and interest, which will need to be, which were paid. They came to 160, so my total net profit for month, is £605. Not bad for a starter baking company. So I can of course export this as a CSV or PDF to watch. If I change any other periods, I need to calculate, of course. So let's have a look on balance sheet report. Balance sheet, it will showing asset position. So assets will be like money in your bank account or cash account. And if anyone still owns money to you, in my case, I will have, if someone haven't paid for their cakes or pastries, and I have recorded on Sage, they will show up, as well as if I need to still pay some suppliers, which I haven't paid to. For example, I have trade debtors 9750. That means that there are people who still haven't paid me for me selling my cakes to them. So when we click on trade debtors, it shows report for 97. Scrolled too far. 9750. So I can see details who owns money by going to reporting. Under more, there is aging report for debtors and creditors. So that will give details. In this case, it gives me full list of entered receipts and sales to customers. So also I can filter by type if I want, by for example revenue payments, or if there is any journals and etc. So let's go back to balance sheet. Let's look at next category. So debtors, that means that people still owe me money, almost £100. In my bank account I have just a little bit over £1,000, and I still have in cash on my hands about £195. So total assets is 1,300. I haven't got any equipment, for example, recorded like assets, so I might need to record them at a later point. Okay, liabilities. Only liabilities what I have is the money what I own to my suppliers, and in this case there will be like online sales what I made, online purchases what I made, or from local shop when I went and purchased raw materials for my baking process. Okay, and then there is of course net profit and loss, and net profit and loss will include also my added money into accounts, like adding not that one, opening balances. So that profit and loss of 1170 will include 565.40, which is also my investment capital through cash and through bank account, which is 565.40. So when I go back to my balance sheet, so from 1176, that 600 is upfront investment, which would be part of equity of getting my business up and running. So let's have a look on other reports what is available there. So we've got sales book, purchase day books, so both are day books. Then we have some profit analysis to look more in details if needed, and here on left hand side are both age debtors and age creditors. So age debtors I had about £100, so I can see that Business Limited owes me 62.50 and Lucy owes me 35. So now I know who are those customers who are all like own money to me and they still haven't paid yet. And when I look on age creditors, I can see who I owe money. So I haven't paid local shop 33.75, plus I haven't paid online bakery 75, and to shop limited 24.90. So this gives me more detailed information about my liabilities and my assets or receivables, what still I need to receive money for. Of course, we all like money, right? So I can also click on this star and make these as my favorites. So when I will open, they will be on top of all list. So instead of scrolling through and trying to find my report, these two will be showing up on top. So it's the same, I can select my balance sheet as a favorite and profit and loss as a standard. Okay. So what else we have there? There is cash report, so I can look at cash forecast and statement. Also looked at receipts and payments day book. So for example, if you have lots of cash sales and you also do cash purchases, this day book might be very helpful tool for you to analyze how your sales are going in within like in my case in my coffee shop, and if I have actually spent somewhere else money, like going and buying some supplies, or maybe being a little bit cheeky and going to neighbor's town and getting some pre-baked pastries and selling in my coffee shop as well. So then there is cash book as well as available, and if I use or you will use stock management, you can look at stock movements report and see how much particular like items been purchased, like sold and purchased and etc. So there is details provided briefly on my bakery business, how it's been running. Okay, so on right hand side, did we covered all reports there? Oh, there is audit trail, so to see if you have multiple staff members, you will be able to see what transactions been made on system and by who. Okay, there is also chart of accounts if you need to do some changes and add additional categories, that can be done as well in chart of accounts. So then there is VAT reports and EC sales analysis. So if you are doing sales with European Union countries, so EC sales might be applicable to you to look into. And then there is contacts personal data. For example, if you need to download customers and suppliers information, plus maybe you might have staff information as well using for expenses, you can use contacts personal data report to download that information and use if you are maybe deciding to update details or ask if that information is up to date on your system. So this covers section about reporting. So once I marked my like favorite ones, there is on right hand side option to click on favorites, and it will only filter the ones with the reports the ones which you have selected as favorites. So in my case I have selected profit and loss, balance sheet, aged debtors and aged creditors report. Also, I cannot forget to mention that once you go to summary tab, you will be able to see graphs or information about sales, purchases, cash flow and cash flow forecast. So cash flow statement, cash flow forecast. And when you scroll a little bit down, for example, I'm in category sales, system will already give you like an insight how your sales section, how your revenue and income goes, and who is your clients. So you can see your top 5 customers and how much in this particular period revenue being generated from them. Then top 5 debtors, so that 9750 what was showing on balance sheet actually it shows already in sales section. And if you are VAT registered and you need to do VAT returns, all information for you will show in this right corner bottom. So if you go to purchase section and scroll down, so it already shows information about if there is any purchases, purchase invoices, other payments. It all shows in a graph, so you can click you can go and look in details on this section. But when I scroll down, I can see my outstanding purchase invoices. And on the right hand side I can see breakdown by ledger account, so I can see by how much my cost of sales for goods have costed to me and for materials. Also, not far away is rent, so rent is in the yellow block of this pie chart, and other is 2750 covering this bit. So, and below, of course, we can see top 5 suppliers. So in my case, I have only 3 suppliers, and also top 5 creditors and how much money I actually own to them and I haven't paid yet. And if you are VAT registered, so it will show your VAT side of what you can claim towards your VAT return. So for sales side will be how much VAT you should actually pay to government, but for purchases side it will show by how much you can actually reduce your VAT payable amount. So it just works like plus and minus side. And when we look on cash flow statement, this shows cash flow in, cash flow out, and then the balance of an account. And it's like shows a brief summary about opening balances, receipts, bank transfers, and how it's like works through. So you can also use summary tab to quickly access or have a quick overview of your business operations and at business like position at a certain time. So example, if I would select different time frame, if I select a week or month, then click calculate, it will update information and it will give information at that particular period or that time frame that you have selected. So yeah, this now covers summary tab and reporting for Sage accounting software.
Let me tell you one thing, guys. When I'm stressed, I eat a lot of chocolate. And this time, it's chocolate croissant. Give me a second. So, why I'm stressed? I'm stressed because my business started to take on. And by take on, it means that there's lots of orders and I cannot manage them by myself. So I need to recruit staff. But I'm not sure if I can record payroll on Sage accounting software. Can I do it? Yes, you can. Let's have a look on next section called Apps and Connections.
So if you want to employ more staff, like in my case, my business is taking on and I need additional staff members to support my business growth, then we can connect to Sage Payroll through settings, and there is a section called Apps and Connections. So when we click on Apps and Connections and scroll to bottom, there is Sage Payroll. So we can connect to Sage Payroll, and as description states, we can automatically track your payroll data in Sage Accounting, which means that information from Sage Payroll will be posted as a journal entry in my Sage Accounting software, so it's links together. And to do so, once you connect to Sage Payroll and fill in details and click Save, you will be able to switch between your Sage Accounting to Sage Payroll by clicking on left hand side at top and clicking on Payroll. So now we are in our Sage Payroll environment. This is the area where we can add a new staff members. If I can register with HMRC, get my PAYE reference, and etc. what's needed to start run my payroll from Sage Payroll software, like a section or part of Sage. So there is summary, pay runs, can add employees by creating employees. Then there is also year-end process which need to be followed. Then there is reporting, like looking at employee net pay, payslip summaries, employer costs, liability totals, and etc. And then there is also settings section. I don't want to go in loads of details because payroll is kind of a separate separate function from Sage Accounting. So if you need more details and information, you can find out information by following steps what Sage Payroll provides. And they have advised that it's only 4 steps what you need to follow, so you will be able to use Sage Payroll. Thing is with Sage Payroll that all interface, how it looks like, it's not far away from the one which is Sage Accounting, so you will get quite quickly familiar about where you need to go, what need to click, and what can be changed. So that's quite simple and easy. Also, if you have any questions, you can always click on chat, and there is online available staff support who will be able to guide you through with your first steps. So in my case, I will not register first staff member on Sage Payroll because I need PAYE reference and details of my employee, but in this case it's just a business test purposes example. So pardon me guys, if you need more information, please don't hesitate to contact me. So in short, yes, Sage can or on Sage we can do payroll if we have a team, and it doesn't matter how big team is. Accounting payroll is working very well for even very big teams.
Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed Sage Accounting software tutorial. I have left the link in the description section below so you can test and trial Sage Accounting software for yourself. If you have any questions or require any further advice, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in next episode. Time to close my shop.